Be sure to subscribe for more content.
What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the BigBC Finance Channel, and I hope you're having a very lovely day. So in today's video, we're going to be talking all about Luna Classic. What has happened to the price recently and why I think the price is going to make a major move in the near future, as well as some key price levels and some trades I'm looking to make here on Luna Classic. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. And of course, if you appreciate the daily analysis here on this channel and you're one of the 88% of people who watch my videos who are not yet subscribed and you do enjoy this content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. So without further ado, let's talk about what we're seeing on the screen and why I see that major move coming. So of course, just to start off, basically when we made our video yesterday, we saw the price in this region, and that's why I was really excited. We saw the price come up to this yellow line here, this infamous yellow line, yellow resistance that we have on Luna Classic. Price came very close to it, and if it was able to break through, we should have seen a very bullish move in the upwards direction. But instead, we saw a rejection, which by the way is actually quite a good sign. It means this resistance here is rejected. We saw a large drop after the resistance had been tested multiple times in this region, and of course now the price is consolidating in a region around here. We've got some very small candles, very little volume, and it's like a calm before the storm. There's really that situation going on at the moment, And my point from my past few videos still stands here on a Luna Classic. I do think at some point we're going to have to cross this yellow line, and when we do, it's going to be a nice pump on Luna. It could be within the next few hours, for example, and we should see something like this, or it could be over the next few days where price comes down to here and it pumps. The point still stands the same, and I do really believe this because, of course, if we have a look at this resistance here, we can see it's been in place since the start of November. We've had it now for about a week. We've tested it in this region up here. Once we've tested it here, we've tested it in this region. We saw the price do this short squeeze just above it, but then come back down within the same hour. So we can say that's a nice test. And now we've had 4 or 5 candles come to this resistance and all bounce off. So we've literally got ourselves a super powerful resistance, and when these resistances are broken, they normally are accompanied by really strong moves in the upwards direction. So if I show you the example from last time, have a look at this region, and I believe this is very similar to what we are seeing. We saw this resistance here develop over the course of the week. In the same way, we saw a lot of places where this resistance was tested, once up in this region here, so we can draw a tick there, once in this region here, several times in this region down here. We have one test here and one final test with this candle here before coming down and then managing to break through this resistance line. Of course, what happened next was a change of trend. So we went from this horrible downtrend that Luna Classic was in to this more sideways trend. And eventually what actually happened was we crossed this 100-hour moving average, and about the same time we did this massive pump here on Luna Classic that took the price up around 23% in one go. So this is really what we're looking for here, but this is just one instance where the downwards trend line, when it has been broken, we've seen this massive pump up. This isn't the only instance though. There has been instances in the past here on Luna Classic where exactly the same thing has happened. So in this region, for example, we saw a horrible down trend line for the Luna Classic price, basically kind of doing something like this. Of course, I've just connected the peaks here of the price. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks touch this yellow line before plummeting further down to 18 cents and a subsequent pump. And if you remember, this pump was extremely fast. If we traded from that trend line all the way to the very top, that's a nearly 50% pump. So we've seen downwards trend lines like this in the past that have been broken with subsequent massive price actions. So this is what I'm really looking for as well right here, right now on Luna Classic. But the fact is, we've got a larger trend line that spans a larger distance down here, and when the price does cross through, we should see a massive move. Now, of course, like I say, I don't know exactly when, but it could potentially be over the course of today. Now, one supporting reason for that is we have something that looks like this. Of course, this is some sort of triangle, and if we have a look at that, we've got 3 points where this triangle has been. Of course, if we have a look at this triangle, we can see 3 points where the base has been tested. The support line here in yellow has been tested in the short time frame. So, of course, we had the first test on Friday, one earlier today, and now we've had our first test just in the past few hours here. And of course, at this point, Luna Classic will have to make its mind up what it's going to do within this triangle. Are we going to break through to the upside, or are we going to break down below? Of course, if the resistance wins, if the resistance overpowers the support, then the price will probably bounce off the resistance and do something like this, and we go again another time when the price is able to close in on this resistance. But if the support line here does win, what we should see is an immediate price target from this triangle So if the price breaks up from this triangle, what we should see is a price target of around 21 cents just by virtue of this triangle. And if we get to the 21 cents region, I don't believe we're going to be stopping there. I think we're going to be heading to this region, like I said in my last video, to 23.3 to around 24 cents. So anywhere around this region would be my price target if we're able to break through this trend line. And the reason I say this is because if we get to 21 cents, you can see in this region here, the price actually came down extremely fast. And when the price does that, it typically means there are no buyers to support the price at this level. It came down super fast. And of course, since there was no resistance from buyers at this level here, I would expect not to see much resistance from sellers if the price was to make it to this level. We should see the price continuing its upwards direction towards the 23 cents. And of course, now you see that buyers and sellers were fighting in this region, in this area of consolidation here. Of course, it was a resistance twice before when the price did come up. So this makes me think that this is more of an area where sellers would be shorting Luna rather than this 21 cents region. So this would be the immediate price target of this triangle here. But the ultimate price target, if we do break through of this trend line, this triangle that we're seeing here, would be this region here, 23.4 to 24 cents. Of course, another reason to support that is the fact that we have this 100-hour moving average. So, you know, if the price was to make it up to 21 cents, we'd break through this 100-hour moving average, which is extremely bullish, by the way, guys. Last time, as I said earlier in this video, when we cross the 100-hour moving average, we see massive explosive price movement. So we saw it in this region here as well. So if we do cross it here on the 100-hour moving average, what I will be looking for is obviously confirmation. So I want to see increase in volume as we do pass this blue line, and I want to see an increase in momentum as well. If we don't see that, then that is a bit of a red flag to me, and maybe I'll be sticking at this 21 cents level. But if we see the prices accelerate past this blue line into a new bullish trend here on Luna Classic, then I will be looking for this 23.3 to 24 cents price region. Of course, I will be exercising patience as well. I don't expect to get there in just a few hours. It may take a couple of days, but if this triangle is successful, then that is what I will be looking at. Now, of course, it is a triangle, so we could break to the downside as well. What we could also see is the prices break down below the support here. So, you know, if we see an increase in volume and we see these candles break down like this to the downside, then I would expect to reach this price target down here. And of course, this just sets us up for a resistance that looks to be in this area here. And of course, like I said at the start of this video, the price will have to eventually break through that trend line. So it might do something like this, where it consolidates a little bit more, and we just have another triangle. And at some point, prices are going to have to break through that trend line, and when it does, it's going to be really, really epic. So that's what I'm saying here right now. Of course, the fact that we could be seeing a triangle right now, just to add to my theory here, is the fact that if we have a look on the rate of change, we've been forming a triangle for the longest time now. We can basically draw a trend line on this rate of change, just like we can draw a trend line on the actual price here. And what we see is a triangle formation on this rate of change as well. Now, in the same way that we interpret a triangle on the price, we can look for breakouts of this rate of change. So, for example, if there was a price breakout of this triangle here on the price, and we see a similar breakout of this triangle here on the rate of change, that should add conviction to our trade once we open a long, breaks out to the upside, or when we open a short when the price breaks to the downside. So this is also something I'm looking at. I'm looking at the indicators. Rate of change is one of my favorites, but the RSI and the MACD are also really good to kind of gauge the momentum here on the price. Obviously, if the price makes a large move and the MACD and the RSI don't follow, then there is something there's something technically wrong with this price move. But having a look at the RSI and the MACD, everything looks about right. Of course, we're consolidating in this region, so we wouldn't expect too much action on the MACD. Both values are close to the 50 line, slightly underneath, indicating there's some slightly bearish momentum here, which we can kind of see since the prices have been doing something like this, and we are still in this downtrend. But if we do break to the upside, we do see a trend reversal. What we want to see are clear signals here on the RSI and the MACD. And the MACD could be hinting at a potential crossover. We can see that in this region here, we did get a crossover of the MACD and the signal line, meaning that we could have actually started a change of trend already. This is one piece of evidence suggesting that we have, since we've seen a crossover on the MACD. The RSI is not confirming however, since we've never been oversold on the MACD on the 1 hour chart there. But some potential evidence here on the MACD, but generally speaking, it's kind of tame since we've been consolidating in a small volatility region here. So not too much from the RSI and the MACD, no red flags here, but at the same time, not too many signals about a change of trend, but we will. And finally, of course, what we want to look at as well is what Bitcoin is doing. And what Bitcoin is doing And finally, what we want to look at is what the general cryptocurrency market is doing. So of course, at the very moment, we're looking at the whole crypto market and things are looking generally red here. We're seeing Bitcoin at -1%, Ethereum at -1.42%, in generally a sea of red here for most top cryptocurrencies. So at the moment, Bitcoin's sitting at 16,800 and it's been quite tame here for a little while. Of course, prices have been kind of consolidating over the past day here on Bitcoin, considering that it was super volatile, you know, when we saw the FTX crash. And that's supported by the fact that we're seeing this decrease in volume down here as well. So again, kind of like a calm before the storm. It looks like something big could be happening on Bitcoin. And it looks like we're following some sort of consolidation pattern that looks like this. Obviously not perfect, since you see this resistance up here has 2 touches. So not a very reliable one in my opinion at this point. But of course, as we see more price data, maybe we see a more reliable triangle. But at the moment, we can say that Bitcoin is following something like this. And of course, what we could do is see the prices consolidate even further and we just see a longer triangle. But eventually, Bitcoin will have to do something, I believe. I do think we can see a major move up or a major move down on Bitcoin as well. And if we see that major move up, then we should see a bullish bias here on Luna Classic. It would be much easier for Luna Classic to do that pump through that trend line like this. But if we see Bitcoin break down below the 16,000s into the 15,000 territory once again, then it'd be much harder for Luna Classic to be bearish, and we probably see something like this in the near future. So keeping an eye on Bitcoin is never a bad shout. Of course, at the moment, it seems to be following some sort of triangle like this, and I'm always monitoring the charts. So, you know, if we start seeing an increase of momentum, if we start seeing larger red candles, larger green candles here on Bitcoin, then I'll be turning to Luna Classic to see how Luna Classic is responding as well, in relation to the trend lines that we've drawn, the moving averages, and of course the indicators that I've put up here as well, like the rate of change. So I will post anything. I will post it on my trading view if I do see it, and if I'm still at my computer and not eating or sleeping. So be sure to follow me on there. The link is in the description below. But otherwise, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say for Luna Classic. Overall, I'm bullish on Luna Classic to make a nice move up in the near future when it does break this trend line, guys. Because remember, it will break this trend line, and it will break this trend line at some point. Obviously, it can't follow it forever. So what we should see is the prices go in a nice bullish direction after we've broken this trend line. It might not be immediately. So if we have a look at this time, for example, it took a little while for the prices to get up in the upwards direction, and the trigger for that was this 100-hour moving average. So what we and the trigger for that was this 100-hour moving average. So what we could also see are the prices just do something like this, where it goes a little bit more sideways through this resistance here. But then when we cross that 100-hour moving average, we see prices do something like this, up to our intended price target of around 23.4 to 24 cents here. So that's also something I'm mindful for. If the prices just squeeze through this trend line without too much activity, then it's not immediately game over. We could just be seeing extra consolidation before crossing that 100-hour moving average there. So those are my thoughts, really. That's pretty much all I have to say here on Luna Classic. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Do let me know in the comments down below if you're holding any Luna Classic. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video.